Now, Troy Dean's one of Australia's best internet marketers. And when you start to talk about an age that we're in now with things moving so fast and everybody having a website, whereas 10 years ago, maybe that wasn't the case. Websites were new, emails and that sort of thing sort of starting to come into the world. Now, a website is absolutely key to any business. But then there are websites and there are websites, aren't there? But even the best website, kept buried, has no impact. So what we're going to be talking about with Troy now is how we are going to get your website, whether it's good, bad or indifferent, give it exposure, start to give it some depth and really make it work for you and show you how to make money off it. Okay, so without any further ado, please welcome Troy Dean to the stage.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Thank you, mate. Thanks for having me. It's my first time in Wollongong, and it's, I must say, it's a beautiful part of the world. I didn't know what to expect, and that beach is certainly going to probably keep me distracted for most of the afternoon. So if I just keep wandering off, just clap your hands and get me back here. So when Stephen first invited me to come here and speak to you guys about online marketing, we just thought we'd keep it really casual and just have more of a kind of a chat, which is what Stephen and I were doing at a bar up in the Sunshine Coast, I think, or maybe even Sydney when we first met.
Yeah, Sydney, then the Sunshine Coast. Yeah. We're just chilling out. And
yeah, so we thought we'd just kind of sit in a couple of bar stalls and have a chat in front of you guys, if that was all right. Yeah?
Sound all right?
Yeah. We might even talk about online marketing. So I just thought I'd start off with a little bit of a pop quiz. Does anyone know this beach? Does anyone know where this beach is? Anyone been there? You've been there, have you?
If I'm correct, it's Corfu.
What, do you know the name of the beach?
I think it's called I can't pronounce it, it's a long name.
Okay, well, it might be Corfu. I don't actually know. It's in Greece. It's Navajo Beach. Yeah, so is that the beach that you've been to?
No, it must be the one on the other side.
Okay, cool. I haven't been there, but it's on my list of beaches to go to, absolutely. Does anyone know, this is an office, by the way. Does anyone know what company this office is?
Google.
Yeah, it's Google. Anyone know where in the world it is? Can you guys see the screen okay? Yeah, I'm not in the way. It's in Zurich. It's Google's offices in Zurich. These are called office pods, and it's where Google employees go and brainstorm ideas. And I reckon at the office Christmas party, they probably get in there and drink champagne and snog.
I bags the green one.
It's built for it, isn't it, you know? Does anyone know who took that photograph? Anne Geddes. Yeah. I love this. Does anyone have any idea which country this might be in? No? Any guess? Anyone? Thailand? Anyone else? America? Australia? It is in the UK actually. It's at Howlett's National Park near Canterbury. And this gentleman here is a zookeeper, and he's raised these 5-month-old tiger cubs since they were born because their mother abandoned them. So he's actually hand-fed them with milk bottles since they were born. Yeah. And does anyone know who this man is? No? Anyone read the 4-Hour Workweek? Tim Ferriss, yep. Tim's got 3 best-selling books now, 4-Hour Workweek, The 4-Hour Body, and The 4-Hour Chef. He likes doing things in 4 hours. I'm waiting for him to release The 4-Hour Orgasm.
4-Hour Chef wouldn't be that good either.
Well, I reckon it's about 3.5 hours of cooking and eating, and then, you know, half hour action time, yeah?
Yeah.
Tim's got, his whole philosophy is called the minimum effective dose. It's how you get maximum result from minimum effort, which is certainly something I aspire to. So why am I showing you all these photos and telling all the stories? What's any of this got to do with online marketing? Well, online, this is your competition. Okay, so we're all grown-ups here. We're all highly functioning adults. So I have this saying that online you are competing with porn. And it doesn't necessarily have to be pornography. It might be gambling. It might be websites of kittens. It might be, it might be Tim Ferriss. It might be whatever your thing is, whatever your obsession is. That's what you're competing with if you're going to use the online space to try and engage your community. So the thing I like about all of these stories is that they're remarkable, and the definition of remarkable means that it's worthy of note. So it is worthy of making a remark upon.
Yeah. Is it worthwhile just seeing who in the room's got a website?
Yeah, sure.
Raise a hand. Yep.
Yep.
Everybody's got a website? Well,
Sure.
more than one website. Keep your hands up. Yeah, put two hands up. Yeah. So these are the people that you're competing with. Yeah.
So,
That's
so
fast.
so if you've got a website, raise your hand. And so leave your hand up if you're actively generating leads from that website. From the website. Leave your hand up if you're actively creating leads into your business from your website and you know where they're coming from and you can measure it. A few hands go down. Leave your hand up if you know how much it's costing you to generate one of those leads from your website. Okay. So this is the kind of thing that we're going to be talking about today, and hopefully by the end of today you'll all have a very clear idea of some practical things you can do to start getting towards that goal. So so I have a confession to make. I used to be a social media consultant, and most social media consultants don't know what they're talking about, and I was one of them. And I said to Stephen when he invited me to come here today, I said, on the proviso that I give you guys my best, that I don't hold anything back, that I add as much value as I can, and that I cut through the crap, pardon the French, yeah? So I'm just going to cut through all the crap, and there is a lot of crap out there when it comes to online marketing, but I want to give you guys the stuff that I know absolutely works.
Just out of interest, curiosity, a definition of internet marketing or online marketing. Can anybody offer us what their definition is? Jason, you're in that space.
A presence online that people notice is online marketing. It's not necessarily the individual advertising you would do on certain sites or with certain companies, but it is your presence getting noticed and standing out from the pack. I mean, without it, you got nothing. So
You're in the
that
mix,
would be my definition.
Excellent, thank you. Anybody else? Internet or online marketing? Girls, any sort of feedback? I've seen your emails come through. You've got a good website. What's your definition of internet marketing?
I'm creating relationships with people.
So creating relationships with people. Yeah, interesting. Excellent, thank you. Terry?
Oh, look, we use it as what's the word for it, a CV or, just telling people who we are.
Yeah, so using it as a CV and telling people who you are. Yep, so that's... Karen?
I have another business as well, and my site's similar to that. Mine is really a credibility site more than a...
Brochure site.
Yeah, more than a leads site. Because people will look me up to see, is this person good or not?
Yeah. So it's interesting. So we've got a different range of answers there.
Yeah.
And some sort of are internet marketing, and then we start to shift to websites. So difference for you?
So I guess the difference for me is that so that's a great, it's a very common example that I need a website because when I meet people at functions or I go to sales meetings, people look me up and they check out my website and I need credibility. But what we know is about 98% of traffic generally that hits a website is going to bounce off that website without actually doing anything. So my approach is I want to know who those 98 out of every 100 people are, and I want to try and capture as much information about them before they leave the site so that I can follow them up. And that, for me, is the low-hanging fruit in most websites.
Yeah, I think what I do very poorly at the moment with so we've got a clothing brand called Number 10 Teamwear. We have people visit that regularly. I don't capture any information. If they've come onto my website, and we've worked very hard building a database of all soccer clubs and sporting clubs around the country, and we target them with emails and other things. But we don't know when they visited our website unless they actually go through a process of 6 steps to design something online and then email it to us. So it's quite a long process. I don't know. So that might be a 5% of people to visit the website. So the other 95%, this is something we need to work on, is who are they? Where did they come from? Why did they come there?
Yep.
And what avenues did they get to get there?
Yep.
So this is a really valuable conversation for me as well.
Are you adding a dimension there by saying that internet marketing is not just making people come to your site, it's actually, once they've come to your site, actually tracking what they've done on your site and who they are, so that you can roll them up.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, online marketing is about And Alice touched on this before about tribe. I don't know if any of you guys have ever read any Seth Godin books, but he's one of my favourite business authors. Online marketing for me is about building a tribe of people who know, like, and trust you. And I'm going to show you some examples throughout this kind of talk about what that actually means to your business. So I'll give you one example. We just invested pretty heavily in in improving our website. We hired a specialist out of the UK named Ben Hunt, who wrote a book called Convert, which is all about building websites to convert. And we needed to raise some cash pretty quickly. And we're a bootstrap business. My software business is a bootstrap business. We carry no debt. We have no investors. We've just built the business from our cash flow from day one. But we needed some cash quickly to pay this guy so that we could get some things up and running. And I said to my business partner, we sell software on a monthly subscription. I said to my business partner, we get about 8,000 people in our database, right? And about 1,000 of them buy our software and they're active customers. But the rest of them, they've signed up for these free ebooks that we give away over the years, and they're really good ebooks, which I'll talk about a bit later. But they're just sitting there, and we're not really doing anything with this database. Occasionally we email them, but we weren't really nurturing those relationships very well. So I said to my business partner, I reckon there's money sitting in that database. And so I said, with your permission, I'd like to experiment on that database. And he said, go for it. So I built a sales page for a webinar that I hadn't made yet. I hadn't made the webinar yet. Okay, you guys all know what a webinar is? So I hadn't made this webinar, but I knew the benefits of this webinar. I knew what I was going to be able to teach this tribe. And this tribe they're web developers. Okay, that's the niche that we're in. And I am a web developer, so I know exactly how to communicate with them, and I know exactly what I can teach them. But I hadn't built this webinar yet. So I put together a sales page. It took me about a day and a half to put together the sales page, the email, and the whole sales funnel that was going to go along with it. And I said to my business partner, we'll price it at $197 a ticket, and we'll do an early bird special for $97 to begin with, and we'll have 50 of those tickets, and then we'll put it up to $147 and then $197. If we can make $5,000, I'll turn up and do the webinar. It'll be a bit of fun. We'll get a bit of quick cash. Well, we made $10,000 in 48 hours, and it blew my mind how quickly the tickets sold out. I'd never actually sold tickets to a webinar before. I'd used webinars to sell other things. And the feedback we got from our database, we surveyed them afterwards, everyone who was on the webinar, the feedback we got from that webinar was the best, most positive. We had 84 people buy tickets, 78 turned up to the webinar, which is astronomical. And the 8 that did, or the 6 that didn't, I knew couldn't, because they emailed me in advance and said, I can't turn up because I've got commitments with the kids. Can I have a recording afterwards? And I said, yes. 55 filled in the survey afterwards that we sent them, which is unheard of. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's so difficult to get even 50% engagement. And how engaged they were on the webinar, it's the most unbelievable positive experience we've had in our business. And I absolutely know the reason that happened is because we have a tribe of people who know, like, and trust us. And that's taken us a few years to put that together.
So curious, who here's got a tribe of people? Yeah, absolutely. Who here thinks this can work for them? Yeah, who here wants to know how to do that? Right.
There's a couple of, I'll let you in on a secret. There are no secrets in business. There are just truths that you haven't discovered yet. So I'm going to show you today some very simple tweaks that you can make if you've already got an online marketing strategy, or if you haven't, some very simple things you can do. And at some point you might be thinking, well, yeah, that's really obvious and that's cool. But if you're not already doing it, just give it a shot, because I promise you'll get better results if you just tweak a couple of small things. So, speaking about cutting through the crap, has anyone ever heard this quote before? Anyone ever read that in any kind of literature or seen that on any social media expert's website or anything? Yeah, it's crap, okay? Anyone ever seen that one before? It's one of my favourites. Yeah, that gets bandied around a lot.
So your return of investment for using social media is that you will still have a business in 5 years. Yeah, right.
It's crap.
That's garbage.
Yeah, it's crap.
Into the bin.
This, on the other hand, is not crap. This comes from one of my favourite mentors in the States, a guy by the name of Dan Kennedy. Anyone familiar with this? Yeah. So this is the lifestyle that I'm choosing. I'm very particular about who I work with, because most people frankly give me the shits and drive me nuts because of their inaction. I mean, that's the truth of it. So, and the beauty about online is that you can, with very low cost, you can set things up that attract exactly the right people to you and repel everyone else. And my definition of good marketing is that it should attract who you want and repel who you don't. So if your marketing is not repelling anyone, then you're probably a little bit too boring and playing a little bit too safe. So a couple of things. One of my clients was Jessica Watson, that 16-year-old girl who sailed around the world on her own. We ran her digital strategy while she was out in the yacht, which was a huge learning curve for everyone. And
How did that go?
how did what go? The journey or the digital strategy?
The journey didn't go so great, did it? Or probably more the digital strategy. Just.
Yeah.
Or what did you do? Because she's obviously out on a boat travelling around the world.
Yeah. So we managed all of her content. She was seeing a lot of content off the boat. We managed her blog. We managed her. At that time, we were managing her Twitter, her Facebook, her Flickr feed, and her YouTube channel, because she was taking video and photos off the boat and sending it back to our servers, and then we were managing all the content, building that community, managing her blog, which was ridiculous. We brought down a couple of Australasian data centres while she was at sea. There's this great story of a company who were, it's kind of like Save the Koala, but they're not called that, they're called something else. And they were doing a big media launch in Sydney, in a function room, like this, and they had the curtain over the computer screen, the projector, and they were peeling back the curtains to launch their new website, and Channel 9 cameras are all across the back wall, and they peeled back the curtain, and there was a great big white screen with 500 internal server error on the screen, which, if you know anything about IT, means that your server is down and not working. And that's because they were on the same machine as Jessica Watson's website, and something happened while she was at sea, and everyone was hitting her blog, commenting at the same time, and it just brought the whole thing to its knees. So that was a big learning curve. It was a great learning experience. Commercially, it was a disaster, but it was a great learning experience. On the back of that, it kind of opened some doors, and we got to work with FebFast to raise over $1 million for the drug and alcohol sector by helping people give up alcohol for the month of February. God knows why you'd want to do that, but anyway. And then, just work with Cricket Australia and the Formula One Grand Prix on website stuff. So the whole Jessica Watson thing really was just kind of help put us on the map to get some of those other gigs.
Bit of a piggyback.
Yeah, which is good because we got to learn a lot by experimenting on big projects. So I just want to get rid of this now as well, because who feels overwhelmed by social media and all the tools and all the tactics available? Yeah, cool. So the myth is that you need all of this stuff running like a well-oiled German-engineered Volkswagen to work, and it's just not true. I mean, as a small business owner, it's impossible to get all this stuff working anyway. So, someone knows it's a slab of beer.
$10 there, $10 there.
Cool, excellent. That's us.
$20.
So you don't need any of this stuff. Some of it might be helpful to achieve what it is you're trying to achieve, but you don't need any of this stuff. It's
So what have we got there? Obviously,
Well,
Facebook's our big one.
Yeah,
And YouTube.
This is a graphic basically that I can tell you social media gurus use to frighten clients into submission. I mean, that's basically the point of that graphic. This is your online strategy. You're overwhelmed. You're bewildered. You can't possibly do it all. That's okay. We'll do it for you. So I'll give you one example. My software business, we sell software to web developers. Web developers spend zero time on Facebook. Okay, Facebook is kind of the laughing stock of the. If you're in the tech space, you don't use Facebook. You use Twitter and you use LinkedIn. It's pretty much Twitter. So I hardly use Facebook for my business. I coach clients to how to use Facebook and have had a lot of success with clients before as a consultant using Facebook, but I don't use Facebook in my business. If you're selling baby clothes to new mums, I wouldn't be suggesting you use Twitter or LinkedIn. I'd be putting all of your effort into Facebook, and if you're selling fashion to girls, I'd be putting a lot of effort into Pinterest. Yeah. So, it's horses for courses. It depends on who you're talking to, and it depends on what it is you're trying to achieve. But I just want you to forget the overwhelm,
It's market segmentation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pick your media.
Yeah.
That matches your marketplace.
Yeah, LinkedIn, businesses.
Yep.
Facebook for...
Pretty much. I mean, at a high level, LinkedIn's good for B2B, Facebook's good for B2C. But the reason I use this slide is because using any one of these is pretty easy, and the barrier to entry is really low, and it's almost free to start using this stuff to drive business. That's why entrepreneurs and business owners get caught in that kind of cycle of, you know, what's the next shiny object, what's the next shiny widget, without actually stopping, taking a step back, elevating a little bit, looking at it from a higher level and going, okay, what's the strategy here and what are we trying to achieve? Because any of these things will help you achieve the goal if it's part of an overall strategy. But what I see time and time again is engaging with a client, walking and saying, right, what are you doing? And they say, right, well, we've got this going on Facebook and we're doing this in this LinkedIn group and we've got this going on over here and we've got this going over here. And the first thing I ask is, have you got Google Analytics on your website and are you reading the reports from Google Analytics every week? And they say no. So, right, well, everything you're doing, punt it, you're wasting your time and your money because you're not measuring anything you're doing. So the whole thing's a vanity exercise. Yeah?
Is anybody doing that? Google Analytics on your website? Yeah. Couple? Yeah, beautiful. So there's a few, obvious, which is great because everybody puts their hand up.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, thanks very much, guys.
Yeah,
See you later.
Let's go bar.
Look, I'd have to say I'm not sure if I'm using it to its full potential because
Yeah.
I do have another statistic program that I tend to use in line with that, which gives
Yeah.
me different, traffic, like where it's come from and stuff
Yeah.
like that. That Google Analytics, well, I can't find on there, and I'm not au fait enough with using it. I
Yeah.
guess, but yeah.
It's, in the old media, it's like saying, well, let's run a radio campaign and just give our usual phone number out in the radio campaign. And then every time the phone rings, you've got no idea whether it came from the radio ad or not. So if you set up a separate 1300 number for your radio campaign, then at least you can measure the response exactly.
So can I just ask a quick?
Sure.
It's probably because I'm fairly done with this. How do you access Google Analytics?
So Google Analytics is free. You just go to google.com/analytics. You sign up for an account and you punch in your web address, and Google gives you a little bit of code that you just cut and paste and install on your website, and then it tracks a whole bunch of stuff. It basically tracks visitors to your website and how they behave on your website. So it gives you some insight into how your tribe are acting on your website.
So with the few people in the room who don't have access to the back end of their website, what would be the best avenue for them once they've got the code from Google Analytics?
Yep.
Then how would they do it?
So if you don't have access to your website, if someone else manages your website, you just say to whoever manages your website, is there Google Analytics running on our website? Yes. If not, sack them and find someone else, or make sure they've got Google Analytics running on your website, because that's 101. If they haven't done that, then they're a numpty. And if they have got Google Analytics running on the website, say, well, can you please make sure you email me the Google Analytics report every Monday morning, which is really easy. You automate that in Google Analytics. You just set that up once with the email address, Monday morning, 8 o'clock, email this to that email address, and it happens automatically. So you get it every
Everybody should be writing that down too, by the way. If you've got a website, set it up, weekly reports, Google Analytics.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
Great.
Because it's kind of like paying your staff every month and not reviewing their performance and not knowing what they do in your business.
Okay.
So what's the critical
Just one
thing
sec,
we
Jay.
should be looking at?
So I'm going to talk a little bit later. We'll talk about what to measure, because it's a great question, and I'll actually get you clear about what you should be measuring.
Okay, the question wasn't fully answered though. If you haven't got somebody who is looking after your website, where do they go then?
So if you're
That's right.
okay, so let me just try and understand the question. If you haven't got access to your website,
Well, now you've got access to it. It might be a WordPress site, but you've got no idea about how to put code into the site. You can play with the pages fine,
Yep.
but you don't know the back end. What would you do?
sure. So just a quick round the room. Who here uses WordPress? Okay. Okay. So most, if you've got access to, you can edit the pages on your site. Most of those systems will have some kind of infrastructure where you can plug other functionality in via either modules or plugins. And Google Analytics has modules or plugins for most of the big content management systems. So otherwise, just call your hosting company.
Yes.
Otherwise, just call whoever hosts your website and say, can we make sure we've got Google Analytics running?
Can we outsource it? Can we say pop a task on Odesk or?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, if you outsource it, you need to give whoever you outsource it to, you need to give them the login details for your website.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got the login details for your website, absolutely you can outsource
Yes.
it.
And if you don't have the login details, you ring your
Ring your hosting company.
web host.
Because So just quickly, this is I just want to show you what my business looks like, my software business. It's a purely online business, and that's just a kind of an example of a new homepage that we're testing at the moment, which in my opinion, and from all the data from all the big analytics companies, including Google and also the enterprise companies that run analytics software like Google but much bigger, this is kind of the template for a perfect homepage or a perfect landing page on a website. And so the elements I just want to walk you through briefly are the headline, benefit-driven headline, a video on the left, benefit-driven bullet points on the right, and then a call to action above the fold. Okay, so this here's the fold, which is kind of mythical, but because the browser can resize. But generally speaking, when someone lands on your website, they should be able to see the big button that you want them to push. The first thing they're going to look at is this benefit-driven headline, if it's big enough and bold enough. And that needs to do one thing. It just needs to answer the question, am I in the right place? So if you're targeting, say for example, you sell IT to accountants and you're targeting accountants, and the only people that, in a perfect world, that you want to do business with are accountants, then this headline should say, attention accountants. If your current IT solution sucks, you're in the right place. Something like that. Why? Who am I? Am I in the right place? Yes. Why am I here? What's in this for me? Cool. What do I do next? Play the video, benefit, push the button. Yeah? You kind of got to treat people like they're 6 years old on the internet, because they are. I mean, if you make it too intricate and too tricky, you just lose them.
Yeah, take the thinking off the table.
Some
Yeah.
6-year-olds have got more knowledge.
Yeah.
It's more the attention span, isn't it?
It is,
Referring
yeah.
to with a 6-year-old.
It is.
They're very quick.
That's
You've
right.
got another option there, straight. in
That's
front of
right.
you.
Yeah,
Don't
I
make
mean-
people stop.
Yeah.
That's right, because the kettle's going off, the kids are screaming, there's porn in the other browser, whatever your version of porn is. And I keep using that analogy, and I don't mean to be crass, but you are competing with so much information. And remember, when someone lands on your website, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to take action straight away. They might land on your website, someone rings the doorbell, they have to go and answer the doorbell and tell the electricity salesman to go away. Then they come back half an hour later after dinner, and they look at this webpage and go, what's this? How did I get here? Am I in the right place? Attention accountant. Oh, I'm an accountant. What's this about? Oh, yeah, cool. I'll push that button. Yeah? It's really rudimentary. You just got to break it down and keep it really, really stupid simple.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key.
Cool. So here's the model that I'm going to walk you through at a high level. This is just a visual version of the model, yeah?
Yeah, do you want to check in any questions? Paulie?
When you've got a very complex service model that you're trying to actually put out there,
Yep.
that first landing page would be, I see that as very simple and not really hitting the mark. So how do you dumb it down, so to speak, to actually capture that?
Yeah, look, that's a great question, and I'm happy to talk about that in more detail later on about your specifics. But believe it or not, we have a very complex product to explain. I find it, to me, it's blindingly obvious, but I find it extremely difficult to explain our product to people because it is so niche. If you can't explain your product in one sentence and a 6-year-old understands it, then you're not ready to have a homepage that's going to work. Because that's what your homepage needs to do. Your homepage needs to explain what it is you do to a 6-year-old in one sentence, because that's all you got. If you can't do that, you're going to lose them. And don't take my word for it. Run Google Analytics on your site and have a look at how many of them you're losing, because that'll tell you
Have we got 2 minutes to let the guys just...
Yeah.
Take 2 minutes, we'll turn the music on softly. Take 2 minutes to write down how you would explain your service or your product to a 6-year-old in maybe 3 lines or 4 lines, Troy?
Yeah.
Yep. Something that you would use as a heading for your website. It's got to work, and the reason we'll do it now is because if you don't do it now, it's going to be hard to do it once we leave this room. Alrighty. So is it okay if we go around the room and ask a few people what they've got? And then having Troy in the room is just amazing. So he will even throw a few different things at us as far as the ways we can help you improve it and tweak it so that you can get better results. All right, Mr. Dempsey, What did you come up with?
I started off, I've got two, so I'll just do the first one, then I'll go to the second one. So I put, we get small business people together so they can build mutually beneficial relationships. And then I thought a 60-year-old won't understand that. So I thought, we get small business people together so they can get to know each other and help each other make their businesses bigger.
All right. Sounds good.
Happy with that?
Yeah.
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 Is there any areas there we can tweak a little bit?
You know, I'm just kind of curious to hear where we're at the moment because
Right.
I'm going to share a model with you and maybe then get you guys to do this again at the end of the session and see how
That's
much
good.
easier it is.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Alrighty, Jude, do you want to share yours, or maybe we might wait till after?
I'm struggling with mine.
All right.
So tell me why you're struggling.
Well, I'm wanting to create my website. I'm sort of retweaking it at the moment. I'm in that Doreen Virtue kind of well-being, inspirational. You know, I run gratitude workshops, the 7 strategies of happiness. A 6-year-old's already happy, and I was thinking when people come to the site, they might think, oh, I'm very happy, but they're actually not. People don't know that they're not happy. They
So
don't
that's
know-
an easy. So you think you're happy, but you're not.
Mm.
Click here. No. You're not that happy. You think you are, but you're not.
Do you think you're happy now?
Sorry, that was.
I don't know how to language
Okay.
that.
I think you might find it easier once we have a bit of a round the room and I work through a bit of a framework with you and throughout the course of this as well, you might find it easier in about 45 minutes time to actually write that down.
Great. Would anybody else like to share theirs? Jace, have you got one that's?
No, sorry, I was busy helping the other guys.
And you didn't work on your own. It's a bit like the airplane when it's crashing. Put your oxygen on first, my friend. Yeah, look after everyone else. So, all right, Dan.
Yeah,
It's a bit of a stretch, I know, but we're gonna.
well, at the moment I'm pretty much taking whatever I can get. So what I wrote is just specialising in full property landscapes by qualified landscapers.
Okay.
That's what I've really gotten.
All right. Well, it's a good starting point.
Yep.
Yeah, Tony.
I think I've learned in the past, for example, in advertising our pages, I always put, not your store name, but put down 5 reasons why you should, or for example, looking for a diamond, 5 things you should know.
All right, great.
Right.
So Tony's in the jewellery space, a
Right.
retailer,
Okay.
looking to go online. One
Yeah.
of the finest
Yeah.
jewellers in Wollongong. So,
So did you guys hear what Tony just said? So I don't know what Tony does, but his headline was looking for a diamond, 5 things you must know. Now, if I'm looking for a diamond, I'm interested. If I'm not, I'm out of here. Perfect. Yeah? So what Tony's done differently is Tony's talking to his target audience about the benefits that he has for them. And that's the big canyon that most small business owners have to cross, is to stop talking about yourself and the features of your product and how technically good you are and how skilled you are, and start talking to your customers about how what you do benefits them. Because that's the best way to get someone's attention, is to start, if we're in a crowded room and, there's all kind of chit chatter and, it's maybe we're having drinks tonight and everything's getting a bit noisy and I just kind of see Stephen across the room. I say, hey, Stephen. Straight away he's going to look up and turn around because his name gets his attention. But if I'm in a room full of, mixed kind of business people and there are some landscapers here and I don't know your name and I stand up here and I say, hey, attention landscapers, you're definitely going to turn around and look up at me, yeah? Because I'm now talking about something that gets your attention. And so the best way to get someone's attention online is to talk to them about the benefits that you've got for them. And that's what Tony's done really well. Forget about your logo, your business name. If you're looking for a diamond, these are the 5 things you need to know.
yeah, and just out of curiosity, is there any difference? So Tony's obviously done a lot of marketing with Yellow Pages, even newspaper, that sort of thing.
Yeah, radio and also on my website.
The website as well. Is there any reason people should differentiate between the different mediums, or is it okay to take something you would put in the Yellow Pages and then implement that onto
So the thing about online is because you're at the mercy of a micromillimeter reflex, which is called the back button. Because you're at the mercy of that, you have to you cannot use any words that do not absolutely drive that person to take the action you're telling all these want them to take. So this headline is still not perfect. We're still playing around with it. Yeah, it's still. I mean, I lose sleep. I lay awake at night thinking about this headline. Because this headline means, I can double my business by getting this headline right. I'm not kidding you. I'll talk about conversion rates a little bit later, but my conversion rate on this website is still less than 1%. If I can get that conversion rate to 2%, I double my business. I'm having a whole different experience on the planet. Yeah, if I get that headline right, it's that important. So the format that I'll give you for writing down your headline is and think about, and also just think about how you can frame this in just loading up the benefits. But the format, and this is kind of the blueprint, if you like, for an elevator pitch. It is this: I help X do Y so that Z. So if you're a landscaper, it might be something like, I help homeowners create a beautiful living environment so that they can enjoy it with their families. Right? Or I help homeowners create a beautiful outdoor living space so that they can entertain their neighbours. So I help who do what so that benefit. So Tony might be saying, I help jewelry investors find the best diamond to buy so that they can enjoy it for years to come, or whatever. Now, if you're really clever, you try and put the benefit first. So what we're trying to do here is we're actually using a reverse benefit. We're using a negative benefit. So we're saying, we're actually outlining the problem. You still got this problem? Well, what we do helps you overcome that problem. So I help who do what for the benefit. And now I'll tell you the big problem with most of this that most business owners have is that they don't know who. That's the biggest problem. And I heard, sorry, what was your name? Daniel, I heard Daniel say it just before, that you just take whatever you can get, which is cool, because when you're in business and when you're kind of starting out, you need to take, the business that you can get. But the more specific you get about who you do business with, the more success you'll have. And I could sit here for 3 weeks and talk about this. They told me to shut up because the coffee's starting to kick in, I'm telling you. But the reason is that if you talk specifically to someone about their problem, you will get their attention. If you try and talk to a room full of people about all of their problems, you'll put everyone to sleep. Yeah? So the biggest problem that small business has is you coming up with that I help X do Y so that Z, is that you don't know the X. Now that doesn't mean you throw everyone out, that doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater, it doesn't mean you punt your whole database and you just say, right, I'm just going to build landscapes in the backyards of doctors and lawyers. But if you know that lawyers, for example, are your favourite client, then all of your marketing should be geared up to attract lawyers. Over time, you might just end up with a database full of lawyers. I was talking to an accountant yesterday. All of his clients, 100% health professionals. Doctors, dentists, nutritionists, naturopaths. If you're not in the health industry, he doesn't want you. He can't help you. He's so crystal clear about who he serves. So work out who you serve well, work out who it is you serve the best, and serve them better than anyone else.
And we've spoken a fair bit about niching. So that is so important to be able to talk to the right people. Yeah.
Cool, all right.
And I was even going to say too, there is a test and measure process, which I'm not sure if you're probably going to talk about later anyway, but if one headline doesn't work and you've got Google Analytics on your website, you change it, test and measure. Are we getting better results? No, we're getting worse results. Change it again. You're getting the feedback. And this is me talking from a position where I don't do this at all. So this is me saying to you, I'm going to be doing this. No, Mike, I'm not going to talk.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly, but I'll tell you what, in the next 2 weeks, I can guarantee you if you knock on my door, I'll be able to give you 2 weeks of Google analytical information, and I would have had 2 different headlines on my website. Yeah.
So the thing is, I know, like...
And a new baby.
And a new baby.
Oh. I may not do the website thing, just brain check, don't worry about it. I did, Paul, edit. Edit, yeah.
I told me to let you off.
You've got VAs for Steve.
That's right.
It's one email, mate, that's done.
Outsource.
That'll be on YouTube in 15 minutes.
So don't get me wrong, I know it's scary to think about culling your database and just focusing on a niche. But, you know, the narrower and narrower and narrower you get, the more success you'll have, and the easier your business becomes because you know exactly then how to communicate with those people. So I know that it's a scary thing, but I promise you, the more you narrow down, the easier it becomes.
And you've seen results, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And as I said, you don't have to. I mean, you know, I used to kind of I used to kind of coach this stuff to a whole bunch of different types of businesses. And when I got really narrow about who I serve the best, and I just concentrated on serving them better than anyone else, everything becomes so much easier in your business. So it doesn't happen overnight, and as I said, you don't have to get rid of the rest of your database straight away. It's a gradual thing. So here's the model that if it kind of looks like this at a high level. You make a promise of something valuable somewhere online, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever your ex is hanging out. I don't mean your ex-girlfriend. I mean your
That's
your target audience. Make a promise somewhere online. They click on a link, then they land on your website, which we'll talk about why it's important to have your own website if you haven't already. And they consume your Champagne content, what I call Champagne content. So Champagne content is something that you've created. It's your opinion on something. It's your thoughts. It's your advice. It's not something that you've copied and pasted from Wikipedia or anyone else. It's actually your original ideas and your opinions on something. And the more opinionated you can become without being obnoxious, the better. Because if you're not opinionated, you're boring. That's just the reality. Right? And if you're boring, I'm going to go and look at the photo of the zookeeper getting his cheek licked by the tiger, because that's not boring. Yeah, I'm dead serious. I mean, you know what I mean? Get opinionated and get remarkable, or go home. I mean, that's the reality of online marketing.
Yeah, and Alice this morning spoke about building a tribe.
Yeah.
The only way you can build a tribe is to inspire or educate or do something.
Yeah.
Tell people stuff that they want to know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do it in this business education space within the Illawarra. So now I'm trying to use that more with social media, and you'll see more posts from me. Just my thoughts that I think of every day. Now I'm posting, and our likes in our webpage, which our Facebook page, which I'm trying to get up to 1,000, is our first milestone. But good quality people has gone up probably about 120 or something in the last few weeks. And some of those things that float my boat and inspire me, like if somebody tells you can't do something, well, you get up, you go do it, and you shove it in their face. That's me building a tribe, but it's also me just sharing my thoughts. Because people tell me this thing's not going to work. Fuck you. I am going to make it work. Sorry for swearing. It is going to work, and I'm going to drive it till it works. But other people read it and they go, yeah, you know what? Other people tell me that my business isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have something.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their thing. Yeah.
People want leaders desperately. Yeah. And most people are too scared to put their flag in the sand and say, righto, I am pretty sure I know where I'm going. I don't know everything. But we're going to have a lot of fun finding out. I'm happy to lead the path. I will walk down the dark path first and make sure there's nothing dangerous down there. If it is, it'll take my leg first. So just follow me along. People want to follow leaders. Yeah?
So I've been there before, so therefore you can follow me again.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So offer them some champagne. So promise something valuable. They click on your link. They come to your website. Offer them some champagne content, which we'll talk about in a moment. Then offer them a free gift in exchange for their details, and then add value. Once you've got their details, add value. Yeah, and then a portion of them will come to you and ask you for your help. And that's called inbound marketing. So I can categorically tell you now, I don't do any cold calling or any outbound marketing at all. All I do is produce great content. I turn up and do things like this. I blog, I do video interviews, I make podcasts, I produce ebooks. I spend all of my time and effort and energy and money producing great, helpful resources, and people approach me and ask me to help them. And when someone approaches you and asks for your help, you don't need to negotiate on price. You don't need to negotiate on your process or your methodology, because when was the last time you negotiated with your doctor or your mechanic on the methodology or the process or the price? Never. Why? Because you went to them. It's like, hey buddy, you came to me. You want my help or not? I didn't knock on your door. So that's a really powerful place to be. So that's what it looks like at a high level, yeah? And is anyone familiar with this model, by the way? Has anyone clicked on something on Facebook and then gone through to a website, read something, put their name and email address, downloaded something, and then got an email from someone's database, yeah? Hands up if you've done that, yeah? Keep your hand up if you're actively doing that in your business to generate a database. Okay. Interesting.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've got a couple of guys doing it, which is good. Congratulations, because I'm not yet. or not yet.
It's not rocket
It's a lot of
science.
fun.
This is, it is. It's so much fun,
Chuck
man.
a coupon in one area of your marketing and
Yeah.
it takes it up in your online
Correct.
store and you know exactly how much response
Correct.
you've had.
Yep.
Does anyone read me newsletter? I chucked 10% off this weekend, had $3,500 orders worth of orders by the time I got up this morning.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that worked.
Yep.
Do I do it every week? Well, I tried that.
Yep.
Do you know?
Yep.
It's fun.
It is fun.
Because it's
That's
about
what
doing
drives me.
something extraordinary. If you did it every week, that's
Not extraordinary anymore.
It's
That's
just
right.
ordinary. So that is-
That's right. And you know, the thing that I love, the thing that, and this is a little bit kind of, off topic, and you might call me a tree hugging hippie, but the thing I love about online marketing is that everything that doesn't work and everything that does work, you learn about your audience in the process. And the more you learn about your audience, I know this sounds a little bit like, oh, give us a hug. I know, but the more you learn about them, the better you are able to serve them. And the better you are able to serve them, the more you position yourself as the leader of that tribe, and the more profitable it'll become.
And we've spent a lot of time about talking about building relationships with people. It's not about going after the sales. We had Ari Galpa here in February talking about building relationships. It's not just about hitting them when you want to sell something.
Yeah.
It's
That's
no
right.
more.
Yeah, and headlines can be profitable, but they can be educational. They teach you, okay, well, they're not responding to that. Stop doing that. Why aren't they responding to that? What is it about that headline that they're not responding to? So this is what it looks like in real life. I follow this company called HubSpot. They make online marketing software. They're really good. They're really expensive, but they're really good. And I follow them because they put out some great ebooks and I learn a lot from them. So this is their Twitter feed. And this is a tweet that they put out, the pocket guide to the 5 emails your non-profit should be sending. I clicked on the link because I've got some non-profit clients as well. And I went through to this page, which is their champagne content. It kind of outlines their content here. And then there's a free gift here that they've packaged up and a picture of a little iPad and a cup of coffee. So they've increased the perceived value here of their free report by saying, hey, make yourself a cuppa, read it on the iPad. And then here's the call to action. Download guide now. So you put your details in there, download the guide, go through to this page. Step 1, I put these arrows in, by the way, emphasis added. Step 1, click here, download your guide. Step 2, here's a soft sell. Hey, you want to see our software in action? Get a free demo, right? Then here's the free guide that you read, and then here's the emails that they send you over time, adding value, adding value, adding value. That's what it looks like in real life, okay? So that's it, that's a visualization of the model. Now, this whole thing is built around what I call the online marketing blueprint, which is basically this. Now, if your eyes start glazing over at this point, I'm going to come and hit you on top of the head, okay? Because I can guarantee you, this is where you have an opportunity to start getting some of this right, because most people don't do the first couple of steps. So, and the reason they don't is because it's boring, it's not very sexy, and it sounds a little bit like work. But if you don't get the first couple of ducks in a row, then what you'll end up doing is drowning in tactics and not actually having a clear strategy and a clear path forward, okay? So I'm just quickly going to drill through these, and then we're just going to have Q&A, and I think we're going to do a live case study on someone's business and how you can install this blueprint in your business, yeah? So first of all, you need to have a game plan. And the game plan really is you need to know your X. You need to know exactly who it is you serve. Who is your perfect customer? Because you can't market to everyone at the same time. You can't keep everyone happy, so don't even bother trying. So in the landscaping business, for example, you might say, well, I've got all sorts of different clients. And we've all got all sorts of different clients. But you can't market to all sorts of different clients at the same time. So the question you've got to ask yourself is, if I could give you 100 new clients right now, but they had to be clones of one of your existing clients, who would that existing client be? Okay?
That's good. Did you hear that? I've never heard it put like that.
Yeah.
It's a good photo too.
So, who's profitable, who refers work, who respects your opinion, who doesn't give you grief, who pays on time, all that kind of stuff.
Who is it? Write down your perfect customer right now that you currently have in your business.
Yeah. Because the more you can understand them, right? And you might have multiples. So if you're a retailer, for example, you might have multiples. Say you sell, vitamin supplements online. You might have a whole bunch of vitamin supplements or protein powders for guys, and then you might have a whole bunch of, other stuff for girls. And you might have stuff for young girls, you might have stuff for older women. So you can have multiple kind of perfect customers in your business. But every communication piece that you put out has to be targeted to one of them. So you can't write a blog post and offer a free coupon that's going to appeal to everyone. You write a blog post about this protein powder and, you know, whatever it does and the benefits of it, and then you offer a coupon code for that protein powder. And that is aimed at a 27-year-old bloke, not a 65-year-old woman. Yeah? So you can have multiple perfect customers in your business, but each marketing piece has to be targeted at just one. Who's asleep?
Dog.
People write it down.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's powerful.
So once you understand who your perfect customer is, and this is where I swear this is where half the room falls asleep every time I talk about SMART goals. People go, "Oh, SMART goals? They've been around since 1914." The reason I love SMART goals and the reason I think, does anyone not know what a SMART goal is, by the way? Okay, so the acronym SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And the reason I love SMART goals in terms of online marketing is the measurable bit. So because you can measure pretty much everything you do online like you can't offline. You can measure how many people open your emails, how many people click on links, how many people watch a video, how far through the video they get before they abort mission. You can measure so much that if you don't know exactly what it is you're trying to achieve, then how do you know when you've arrived? Yeah? How do you know what it looks like when you get there if you haven't actually seen it already in your head? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, sometimes also realistic, yeah, and time bound. So, and I'll give you an example of what this looks like in a minute. But one of the things that I hear all the time when I'm working with clients is, so one of the questions I always ask is, why do you want to use the internet for marketing? And people generally can't answer that question, but if they do, they paint in really broad brushstrokes, like, oh, I want to increase brand awareness. I want to get my message out there. Well, my version of getting your message out there and your version of getting your message out there are two very different things, and never the twain shall meet. So how the hell are we going to decide whether or not this is a success? Give me something more specific. What does that mean? Do you want 1,000 Facebook likes? Well, that's specific, but I can buy them on Fiverr. Is that relevant? How about I want 1,000 likes from event coordinators that work in the finance industry in Melbourne by the end of June? Now I can work with that.
Yeah.
Because that's relevant, it's time bound, it's specific, it's measurable, and it's achievable. We're not trying to put a man on the moon, we can do that.
Yeah. So even my 1,000 likes is not as good as your, say, 200 for that specific.
Right.
I'm feeling good about 1,000. But I've put a limit on that. Like I said, you go to fiverr.com and I can buy those. They're just people. They're just
Well,
people.
actually, most of them are robots.
Oh, right.
They're just fake. They're just, they're just spam bots, really.
But I massage my ego. Don't I
Correct.
feel good? Hey,
Correct.
have a Facebook page. That's 1,000. Look at me. It's not good enough. We want 200 highly qualified leads that are actually going to communicate with us. And
So,
Likes don't buy anything that customers do. So
Yeah, that's right. And I don't care about numbers, seriously, I have been in the middle of that many pissing contests at seminars and conferences with online marketers talking about how many fans they've got. I don't care how many fans you've got. What I care about is how many people open your email and take action when you email them. Yeah? So if you get 100,000 people in your database and only 2% open your email, I'd rather have a 10,000 strong database and 30% open my email. So fans and followers and numbers is just, it's ego and vanity, and
Thanks very much, Tony.
So here's an example of a SMART goal. And so just think about this for a minute. This SMART goal is only possible if you know who your perfect monkey is and you know exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve. So the combination of that is something like this. I want to collect 50 email addresses of small business owners in the IT space, and in brackets I've put Craig, because I actually know small business owners in the IT space, and most of them are named Craig for some reason, in Melbourne by September 30. So I'm working with an accounting firm at the moment, and this is their SMART goal. This is exactly what they want to achieve, because they just want small business IT clients. That's who they want. So they want to collect 50 email addresses of Craig's by the end of the financial year. Right? So everything else in their online marketing strategy now becomes really easy. Because guess what? They're not going anywhere near Facebook. It would be a complete waste of time. So, once you've got that sorted out, position yourself and become as attractive as possible to Craig. And how do you do that? Well, you understand the square peg that Craig's trying to shove into the round hole, understand what his biggest problem is, which in this case might be hiring staff, finding and keeping good staff, and then start producing something useful to help him with that problem. Now, so I'm working with an accounting firm, right? And what they're doing is producing some white papers and some free reports on how to recruit staff in the IT industry. It's got nothing to do with accounting.
But it's got everything to do with their problem.
Correct. It's got everything to do with getting the attention of Craig, who is the tribe that they're trying to build. So your action step is to create something useful that solves a problem. So, you know, my fiance's cousin is a landscape gardener, and he has got some great clients. He works in some pretty wealthy suburbs in Melbourne, but he's he's really reactive. His business is really reactive. He just kind of responds to people asking him to come around, and he spends a lot of time quoting, and he wants to get more specific about the type of clients that he works with. And what he's worked out is that the type of clients that he likes the best are really hard-working males who are away from home a lot, and they have a wife and young family at home, and he just wants the cave to look beautiful for his family while he's away, and he kind of feels bad that he can't do it because he's off working so much. And Andy, my fiance's cousin, he's like, he's a perfect client for me, because I go in, I do a good job. That guy thinks I'm Christmas because I'm basically looking after his cave while he's away. And the amount of trust that is in that relationship is huge, right? So we're now working together to say, okay, what is it that how can you start to get more of his attention? You know, forget about the fact that you're a landscape gardener. What is it that you can start to produce that gets his attention? So what problem does that guy have apart from the fact that, you know, he's working so hard and he hasn't got time to work around the garden? What problems does he have in his life? Does he have time management problems? Is he stressed? Is he working too hard? Does he have cash flow problems? Profile that guy and understand his problems so much that you can start producing something useful, because that's what will get him to your website. He's not really looking for a landscape gardener because he doesn't even really know that's a problem at this stage. He's got all this other stuff going on in his head. So if you can start to tap into that noise and start to be useful, then you'll get his attention and then you can start engaging with him. Does that make sense?
Is an example of that, for instance, to say this type of fellow that you're talking about, to pitch tickets to a sporting event that he might be interested in?
Yeah.
Is that something?
So,
Is that the carrot?
look, I would suggest no, and the reason I say that is because I've worked with a property development company who give away grand final tickets every year in Melbourne. And so they get all this buzz around, you know, June, July, August, September, for people signing up their database and entering these competitions and trying to win grand final tickets, and then for the other 8 months of the year they can't get arrested. You know, and it's like, well, that's not relevant to your business at all. People only care about the grand final tickets. I would do that kind of thing for my existing clients, to build a brick wall around them and to really nurture those relationships. But attracting new clients, I try and make it more relevant. Yeah.
It sort of jades the inquiry, doesn't it? The lead.
Yeah.
It's so very hard to distinguish whether it's a really relevant, good lead or whether it's just a nice one to get access to something that's really cool.
So, you know, one of the things is, and my fiance's cousin, he could talk about, you know, here's an example of what not to do. He could talk about the kind of power tools that he might use or that you could use in the garden, and he could do like a comparison between this particular circular saw and this one, and the best one for building a retaining wall, right? Now the high flyer, he goes, well, that's great, but I'm never going to get the time to use either of them in the garden, so it's kind of irrelevant. But I might actually be interested in which airline has the best lounges around Australia, or I might want a comparison of different car rental companies, or you know, I might actually want some help with my schedule. So there's this website called TripIt, which manages your travel, and if you're a big traveller, a lot of people use TripIt because it manages all your itineraries. So Andy's kind of producing he's trying to get his head, and he hasn't quite nailed it yet, but he's trying to get his head around how he can help this high flyer and this frequent traveller travel easier and give them resources about how to travel better and how to know, you know, which car rental companies to use or which hotels not to stay in or what's on when. And what that does is it just gets their attention and gets them engaged, and then over time he can kind of surreptitiously swing that conversation around to, while you're travelling, who's looking after your garden. But if he starts off with that, he's not going to get the attention because it's just trying to cut through noise. Does that make sense? So there's no hard and fast way of, there's no golden rule of knowing what's going to work, but what's not going to work is necessarily talking about what you do. What's going to work is talking about their problem and trying to help them with their problem.
So what you sort of describe people almost like sneaky marketing.
Well, you know, it's...
Sort of coming around the back doorway to catch it.
Yeah, well, you're sort of, it's getting to an end point because it's sort of, yeah, well, you're sort of right in a way. It's
You're looking for ways to add value to your client.
Look, I always relate it back to dating, right? The definition of a bore is someone who talks about themselves all the time. And the definition of a sycophant is someone who just talks about you all the time. Yeah? So the perfect balance is someone who is really interested in you and makes you feel like you're the only person in the room, but also reveals enough about themselves to keep you engaged. And that's kind of the balance that you've got to find.
And I think as long as you're adding value as well.
Hey?
That's Alice.
That's Alice.
Yeah. Who said the word orgasm? Everybody laughs at that, orgasm. Everybody laughs at that word.
So here's an example. If you're an accountant and you want Craig, who works in the IT space, you could write a blog post that is called the top 3 questions to ask during interviews to recruit high quality staff. Really simple. And this is just designed to get Craig onto your website engaged. Because I can guarantee you, Craig is not searching on Google for a new accounting firm. Right? What he's searching for is, how do I keep my staff? Or how do I get better performance out of my staff? Or he might be searching for, you know, business networking opportunities, but he's not searching for a new accounting firm.
So with
Yeah.
your cousin, and so what he's hoping is the guy's going to be Googling car rental company or something like that. He's going to land on the landscaping page.
Right. And so the way that Andy could do it is Andy could say, be really transparent about it and say, hey, I'm a landscape gardener and most of my clients are travellers. And what I've learned, most of my clients travel a lot for business. And what I've learned over the last 9 months of dealing with these guys is that for some reason everyone hates Thrifty and everyone loves Hertz. So I've done a comparison between the two companies to figure out why. Here's why you should use Thrifty, and I think this is why everyone hates Hertz. Now, it would take maybe an hour to put that kind of content together. There's this amazing website called Google that you can go to and research all this stuff. You can fuel up really quickly, you know?
Yeah.
I just Googled this stuff on the plane on the way here. I'm just making this up, you know?
Have actually also
Yeah.
saying that you're adding birds.
One of the best marketers I know is Taki Moore.
Yeah,
And what Taki says is give them what they want
yeah,
and then show them what they need.
correct.
Yeah, so instead of going for what they need or what you feel they need straight away or even what you know they need,
Yeah,
find out what they want
yeah,
and then give them what they need.
yeah.
So Taki's amazing.
So, and just in terms of creating something useful that is going to help them solve a problem, here's a little trick I learned from Nick Bowditch, actually, from Facebook. You can produce content like this. I'll just let everyone read that for a minute. You can produce content like that, yeah? Or you can produce content like that, and that's the kind of stuff that goes viral and gets shared. That does not go viral. If you write a blog post that's just text like that and it goes viral, come see me because I want to interview you. Whereas this kind of stuff gets shared and gets liked and goes viral. So images and video is the most engaging form of content. So whatever, if there's any way you can produce content that includes great images and video and tells a human story, then you'll be ahead of the pack. Yeah, so images and video, and that has some kind of human element. Some kind of human story. Okay, so now pretend we've got a lot of people on our website because we're producing stuff that they're interested in. Once they're there, we need to capture their details. And this is, the old days. It was you walk into a retailer and you have a look around, and then you decide that there's nothing here you want. And before you walk out, the smart retailer says, "Hey, before you leave, do you want to join our VIP club and get 10% off in the store? In fact, you can get 10% off today if you join our VIP club. Give you a little VIP card, make you feel really special. All we need is your name and your address and your phone number and your email address so we can politely stalk you. I mean, we can nurture the relationship over time." Now, a percentage of people are going to give you their details. Most won't, but a percentage will. But I guarantee you what never happens is no one ever walks into a store and says, "Hey, if I give you my email address, can I get 10% off?" No one ever does that. So if you don't ask them for their details, they won't give it to you. So the best way to capture someone's details is to offer them a free gift. It's not rocket science. It doesn't necessarily have to be a coupon or a discount voucher. It could be, you know, a free report, a white paper, a membership, a reward for referring a friend, whatever it is that's going to, whatever it is that's going to resonate with them and get them to take action.
See this here? Be careful. Be very, very careful of what you see on the screen as far as giving them as gifts. Bought 2 cases of wine for my business to give out as gifts. I think we gave them to about 2 people, and the staff took the rest. So you do a stock take on the red wine before.
There's a guy in Greg, the rally driver.
Yeah.
He ran a campaign where he gave away a free little bottle of engine oil or something.
Yeah, it was oil.
It's like really low cost, yeah.
Well, it went low cost. It still cost him $9 or something per bottle.
Right, and he was thinking maybe he'd give away a couple of hundred or something. Anyway, he tweeted it, and it got picked up on some Daily Deals website and went out to like 100,000 people.
Yeah.
And it just about sent him broke, because all of a sudden he had all these people signing up for the free little thing, and it cost him thousands to get this stuff and had to buy it and ship it out.
Tens
he had to,
tens of
had to
thousands.
honour the deal, which is a good problem to have.
Although it wasn't, because it went viral, and this is what we've got to be really careful of, getting leads is what you were saying before, Mike, as well. All of a sudden he had to give away a lot of this oil, but it wasn't people, qualified leads that were actually inquiring for the oil. It just ended up going around a bunch of people wanting free oil. And so all of a sudden he's got a database of just a ridiculous number, like 10,000 or just something ridiculous. And maybe 5% were qualified. Yeah, but don't give away wine unless you keep an eye on it.
So your homework is to produce a low-cost, high-perceived value gift to build your database. And what that looks like in real life is something like this. And everyone, I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, an ebook, you want a free ebook." The first ebook here on the left, it's called A Better WordPress for Clients. For those of you that don't know, WordPress is a content management system for building websites. And so my customers are web designers who use WordPress and build websites for clients. So this free ebook, I spent about 2 weeks doing nothing but writing this ebook. Put a lot of time and effort into it, and most of the time thought I was nuts. I was sitting there going, "What the hell are you doing? Like, you're writing an ebook," and I had no idea if anyone was ever going to download it. But I just knew that picking up the phone and calling people and trying to sell my software wasn't going to work, and made me feel a bit kind of desperate. So it was out of pure frustration that I thought, okay, this has got to work. I'm convinced this is going to work. We get more testimonials from this free ebook than we do for the paid products that we sell. And this free ebook has built our entire business. Our whole database is built on people signing up for this free ebook. And there are now 5, I think, in the series. Once you sign up, you get them over a period of time.
So everybody always says that. I could never write an ebook. Out of curiosity, do you want to spend the next 60 seconds writing down the name of your next ebook?
Yeah.
Maybe just to lock it in now. Sit down, spend 1 minute now, just looking at your piece of paper. Everybody's got an ebook in them, Troy, do you
Absolutely.
think? Absolutely. Yes.
Can we just share something with you?
Yeah.
Like, we're single mums, and we wrote an ebook in a day, and we had 2 kids, and it was raining.
Yeah.
So we got dried pasta, got all my cooking dishes, told them to go under the patio with some water, and they made us dinner, and they'd come in and say, "We're hungry," we'd quickly feed them, and then we'd sit back down and we'd write the next chapter of our ebook.
Great.
So if anyone says, "I can't do it," if we can do it, anyone can do it.
So what's an ebook?
But, well, I'm meaning it in that obviously it's a script. Like, is it just a Word
Yep.
document?
So an ebook is an electronic book, and it's a Word document that, anything under about 30 pages is kind of classified as a free report. Anything over about 30 pages you can call it an ebook. You can sell ebooks on Amazon and make a lot of money, or you can give them away and build a database. It's just a Word document that's saved as a PDF. You put a fancy cover on the front, and you make it look like, a physical book. But it's a PDF document that people are downloading.
So what I was confusing was it something that had to be some piece of software that fixed pages over what you
No. It's just a PDF document that they download and read. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I've done one for our teamwear business.
Yep.
The 7 things you must know about custom design teamwear. And it talks about outsourcing and getting gear in from overseas. and just the benefits of sourcing it locally in Australia, or the challenges that some people have dealing with other countries, including China, Fiji, Pakistan. The 7 things you must know before you order your custom-made uniforms. What it is, I guess, an ebook is actually just giving people something that you know that they don't, that's going to add value. So if people get on your homepage and you say the 7 things you must know before you order, if some people spend $50,000 on their uniforms, before you spend your money, just read this. And they go, well, that's great, because some of our leads that come in don't actually know what they're doing. Great, some more information. So they put their details in, get the book automatically through a company called AWeber, which is, that's what I use. Is that, they get the information, I get their data. I can then communicate with them on another level. I saw that you got a... Oh, this...
AWeber is a system that you use to collect people's email addresses and deliver an ebook to them. But you can use it, there's a whole bunch of different technology or software you can use.
It's like that sign up.
Yeah, correct. It's like, that's right.
So I'm really happy to have a conversation with you about that. Definitely. If anybody else wants to talk about it.
So the most important thing is you've got to work out what it is they're looking for. What is it that is going to be enough of a magnet for them to actually give you their email address and download it? So what problem do they have and how can you solve it? And it's usually, the headline is usually something like, the 10 things you should know before, or the 5 things every X must know about Y. So here's a great example. This is an accounting firm, Frontline Accounting in Melbourne, and their homepage looks like this, got a little video. Headline is, your business, under control, profitable, future-proof. Get your white paper. Who doesn't want that for their business? Yeah? So your business, it's not about them, it's about you. Benefit, under control, profitable, future-proof. Big green button. Get your white paper. Now, they're not my client. If they were, the mistake I think they're making is when you click on that big green button, you go through to this page and you put your name and email address in, I'd take that name and email address form and I'd put it right there on the homepage. Because I don't know how many conversions they're losing by adding that extra click, but it would be more than half, I reckon. So I reckon they could double their conversion straight away just by putting this form on their homepage.
Yeah. And then what you do, you test to measure that. So you do what Troy's just said, see the conversions over a period.
Yeah.
And then, you've got the data there.
So I'm just aware of time. I just want to scat through this and then get some questions from you guys and hopefully get you some answers. Once you've got someone's email address, we're just going to nurture that relationship. And the easiest way to nurture that relationship, again, think about dating. When you first meet someone, you don't want to be too over keen. You don't want to come across as being desperate, and you don't want to talk about yourself the whole time, right? You want to engage with them. You want to make them feel special, and you want to just take it slow. So, in a perfect world. And you want to be useful. You want to be helpful, yeah? So, the best way to nurture someone is just to email them every couple of weeks, every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, however often. Be useful and work out what their objections might be to actually doing business with you in the long term, and then overcome those objections one at a time. And usually the objections are price. No one wants to spend money. That's because they don't see the value yet. And another objection might be that they don't know who you are. They don't trust you. They don't know how long you've been around. They don't know what expertise you've had. They don't know how experienced you are. So you might just point them off to case studies of other people you've worked with, or other things you've done, or other achievements, or someone else who, say you're selling a particular technology, you might point them off to someone else who's using that technology overseas, who's not one of your clients. So it might be a third party kind of case study. So just work out how you can be useful and get them over their objections one at a time, until eventually they come to you and say, right, I'm going to buy the nutrition from your shop, or I want you to landscape my garden, or I want you to be my accounting firm, or whatever. They call you and ask, they engage with you, they approach you. So create something useful that helps overcome their objections. And that's usually just a series of emails that go out. You might call it an e-course, or you might call it whatever. It doesn't really matter what you call it, just a series of emails that go out over time. So the example here is my accounting firm who's trying to attract the IT guy. They might produce a case study that says the reason Acme IT have the lowest staff turnover in the country, because they recruit properly in the first place and they ask the right questions in the interview process. Again, still really not talking about accounting or what they do, just trying to help just trying to add value. So then how do you convert? For those clients that don't come to you and ask, to buy, how do you convert them? And the best way to do that, I think, is to know the right time. Once you've added enough value and you've built that relationship, you make them an offer they can't refuse. And the offer basically is compelling and zero risk. Yeah. So the example with most accounting firms offer this thing called the free business health check. And I don't know about you, but I don't want a free business health check because it sounds painful. Yeah. Yeah. However, I might be interested in this, a complimentary business breakthrough session to identify the low-hanging fruit. I might be interested in that. I want to know if there's some low-hanging fruit in my business I can pick. Not really interested in a business health check. So it's more of a compelling offer and there's zero risk. It's complimentary. Okay, then my favourite bit is how do you master everything? And I know I'm skipping through this, but I want to get you guys to ask some questions. How do you master this over time? You can measure so much online. You can measure people visiting your website. You can measure people opening your emails, clicking on links, all that kind of stuff. So the easy way to do this is to work out what I call your magic metric. So the one thing that you could measure, the one thing that you can improve in the next 30 days that's going to add the most value to your business. So if you've got a website that's converting really well and is generating good money, then your metric is probably traffic. How do we just get more people to that website? In my case, my conversion rate sucks. We get good traffic, but our conversion rate's like 0.8%, which drives me nuts.
What are some of the things? The metrics? There's traffic.
Yeah, so traffic, sign-up rates or opt-in rates, which is people signing up for your free gift and joining your database. Bounce rates is a bounce rate is when someone visits your website and then leaves your website from the same page without clicking through. It's called a bounce. Imagine a trampoline. They bounce on and they bounce off. Yeah. And a conversion rate is the number of people that... Well, conversions can be a number of things, but I think about conversions as the number of people that visit your website against the number of people that actually make a sale or buy a product. But it really is the action that you want them to take. Conversion rates can also be sign-up rates. If you're just offering a free gift to sign up, that can also be a conversion rate. So the conversion rate is how many people take the action that you want them to take.
So when Troy talks about increasing a metric, these are them. Focus on one of these that you want to fix, that you want to improve. If your bounce rate is high, people leaving off the same page, got to find a way to make that page more attractive so they stay and click through. Would you agree that trying to concentrate on all these metrics at once and saying I want to improve them by 5% each, is that just too overwhelming?
It's ridiculous. You can't do it. And the takeaway for me is, if there's one thing that you can take away from this whole session, and you can outsource this, you've got to work out exactly what every web page on your website should be designed to achieve something. If nothing else, it should be designed to achieve attracting an email address. And the easiest way around that is in the footer of a website, and the footer generally stays the same across the whole website. If you've just got a form in that footer that you have a little benefit and people can put their name and email address and sign up, then that form then appears on every single page on your website. So if nothing else, every page on your website should be designed to achieve one thing. And as I said, if nothing else, collecting an email address. So the thing that I want you to take away from this session is you need to have goal conversions set up in Google Analytics, and that's something you can outsource. In Google Analytics, you can measure a goal conversion, and I'll just explain what a goal conversion is. If I sign up on a website for a free gift, so okay, here we go. The goal conversion for this website will be this. The goal conversion, here's the first page, and then if someone clicks on that green button, they end up on this page. This page is what's called the goal conversion. If someone lands on that page, we've scored a goal because they've seen the home page, they've liked it, they've clicked on the button, they've now landed here.
Goal or goal?
Goal, as in goal, as in putting the ball in the back of the net. Goal conversion, not gold.
Gold and get the money.
It's alchemy.
No
It's
worries.
alchemy. It can be gold.
Gold.
So a goal conversion for me is when someone joins my database, they sign up for my free ebook, they then land on a thank you page that says, thank you for signing up, here's your free ebook. That's the goal conversion page. And you can track that in Google. So every week when I look at Google Analytics, the first thing I do is I look at my goal conversions. I say, how many goals did we score this week? Okay, so if there's only one thing that you can look at, if you've only got time to look at one thing every week, make sure you are looking at your goal conversions in Google Analytics. Because I was talking to a lady at a conference recently who was asking me about Google AdWords. And she said, how can I make my Google AdWords better? I'm paying these guys in India to run my AdWords. I'm spending $800 a month on the ads and then, $120 a month or whatever for them to manage it. She said, how do I make it better? And I said, okay. You get your Google Analytics reports every week. And she says, yeah. And I said, you've got your goal conversion set up in Google Analytics so that you know when someone clicks on an ad and they land on your website, whether or not they're taking the action you want them to take. She said, yeah, that's all set up. And I said, you're reading these reports every week? She said, no. I said, why aren't you reading the reports every week? She said, because I don't know what they mean. And I said, can I have $800, please? Because clearly you've got it to burn. What do you mean you're spending $800 a month on ads and not tracking whether or not they're converting? Are you nuts? If you don't track goal conversions, how the hell do you know whether or not what you're doing is working?
I'll put my hand up. I've been guilty of doing stuff for the sake of saying that I'm doing it. Do you do that? Yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of that.
Yeah.
Because people have told me to do it. But then it's a bit empty, isn't it? It doesn't make any sense. So that's a trap that I fell into, that I don't do it anymore, but I have been guilty of that. Yeah.
So you can't measure everything. We haven't got time to measure everything. So just work out the one metric that, if improved in the next 30 days, would add the most value to your business. So for example, it might be increase my sign-up rate for my free ebook by 20% by the end of the quarter. Yeah, because I know that the more people that sign up into my database, the more customers I'll end up with eventually. So it's really important for me that I keep getting, I'm getting about 50 email addresses a day at the moment from our website. If I could get that to 100, happy days.
Beautiful.
Question just on those pages and the sign up. What are your thoughts on, like, they fill in the email address and then they get to the book immediately, or the website sends them an email and they need to confirm?
So what you're talking about is this thing called double opt-in. So some email database systems require, if your customer signs up and joins your database, that they then get an email that they have to click on to doubly confirm that they've given you permission to email them. Aweber does that. If you set up an account with Aweber, you have to be careful, because if you turn that on, if you say yes, double opt-in, they get a confirmation email, then you can never turn it off in your Aweber account. If you set up what's called single opt-in when you first open your Aweber account, then you're sweet. You don't need double opt-in. Okay, if anyone tells you that you must have double opt-in by law, it's bullshit. You do not need double opt-in. And I can tell you now, you will lose about 30 to 40% of your database by forcing them to double opt-in, because the confirmation email they get will go to their spam folder and they'll never see it.
Yeah.
So single opt-in is cool. If you meet someone at a conference and I say, hey, here's my business card, I'm really interested in what you're doing, keep in touch, you can add me to your email list and you can email me. I've given you permission. So, people will frighten you with permission law. It's much harder in the States, and they're much more stringent in the States, but you don't need double confirmation. My advice would be, if someone puts their email address into a form on my website because I've promised them something, I want to deliver on that promise as quickly as humanly possible. So the page that they land on says, great, here's your link. Download it right now.
All right.
So that's kind of the model. That's the blueprint on how to implement that model. So quickly, I just want to, I love this. When I discovered this, this will take, 3 minutes. Yeah. I hate typing. I'm really bad at it. I'm a total numpty on the keyboard. I use these two fingers. I don't mean to be rude, but I use these two fingers to type, and I'm like this, and it hurts, and I'm really bad at it. But I love producing content. I enjoy talking. So I put this thing together, this process together, which I call the content creation machine, which allows me to create lots of content really quickly. And it just goes like this. I collect headlines everywhere I go, every time I talk to people at conferences, every time I email my customers, everything in my business, I'm constantly collecting a headline for an article or a video or a podcast or something, right? And little headlines just like, you should do this because this benefit. So, or here's how you'll benefit from this. Just some little headline, some little idea. And I just park them in a little app I've got called Evernote, which I can use on my iPhone or the computer, yeah? So I just park headlines whenever I can. And then I schedule time throughout the week to create my content. So I just go through and drill through my headlines and go, yep, I like that one, I'm gonna write something about that. And then I get my smartphone out and I talk into my smartphone, or I just talk into my computer with a little headset, and I just record my blog post as if I'm talking to someone, as if I'm talking to a customer. And then I send that off to a website called SpeechPad, and for $1 a minute of audio, they'll transcribe it into text.
Told ya.
Man, it happens every time. We could have put money on it. Every time I show this, people, the penny just drops, you know.
Can you believe that? So
Sure. So if you've got an idea of how you can help a customer, then just speak that idea into your smartphone or your computer. You then upload it to this website, and if you've got 3 minutes of audio, it'll cost you $3 for them to type it up into text and send it back to your account here as text, which you can then copy and paste onto your website or into an ebook or
Do they
whatever.
correct grammar?
They're really good. They take out ums and ahs. They correct grammar. They don't rewrite your article. They'll transcribe what you say,
Yep.
but they will.
So it's actually transcribing, it's not just like naturally speaking or something. It's not.
No, so
It's
it's
not voice to text.
no, it's not voice to
It's the
text.
person who-
So this website is an interface for a whole bunch of what they call mechanical Turks. So I don't know if you know what a mechanical Turk is, but it's like a mechanical Turk is where mechanical Turk is where you put up a job and a whole bunch of people kind of bid on that job. So essentially, this is a website interface for a whole bunch of VAs. Yeah. So you just upload your audio there, or your video. It can be a video as well. And for $1 a minute, they'll transcribe it. Now, $1 a minute's about a 48-hour turnaround. If you want it quicker, it's like $2.50 a minute. So if you've got a 40-minute interview, costs you $40. You've got an ebook. So I can interview Stephen for 40 minutes. $40 later, we've got an ebook. We've got enough content for an ebook.
just from your experience as well, 40 minutes of voice equates to, is that 40 pages of script?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Yep, no.
But anyway, it's going to be substantial anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like usually a 3-minute audio is enough for a blog post for me.
Yep. So guys, we've been talking about being industry leader in everything we do, and everybody in this room, it's about being industry leader. Who in your industry does this? If you look at me and say no one, be the innovator. Remember, we'll say that, not the imitator.
And so here's an idea. When people say to me all the time, I don't have time to produce content. Bullshit, you don't have time to produce content. Sorry, but Friday night while you're watching the footy or doing whatever you're doing, or Sunday afternoon while you're sitting out in the back garden reading a book, you've got an idea of how you helped a customer last week, record it, record 3 of them into your iPhone. You've now got 3 blog posts. That's 3 weeks of content.
And who loves content? Google. Upload it. We're getting some amazing tools. All right, we're going to help someone in a second.
This is just a little detailed question, but do you speak your punctuation? Or
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
Hi,
It's
my
not-
name's
it's
Stephen
not like
Dixon,
great-
comma.
It's, yeah, right.
No, I actually
Really
do
enjoying-
that.
So you-
when I send it to my VAs, I speak the
Yeah.
punctuation.
Really?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so
I
there is
want it right.
so there is software like Naturally Speaking or Drag and Dictate which you can use
And you do
as
have
well,
to
which
on
does
that.
that, where you speak and your computer automatically dictates for you. I just prefer to use this because I can't be bothered with the grammar and stuff. And
No,
the more you work with these guys, the better they get at understanding your rhythms, and the better that they get at kind of working out, your speech patterns.
And it can be editable, can't it? If you-
Absolutely, they just send it back as text.
Yeah.
You just read through it and go, okay, well, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. You can re-edit it and get ready. So then publish it to your website, to your blog, which is again a whole other session. But the reason that you've got to have your website and your blog is because it's the only online asset that you completely control 100%. If you build your whole online marketing strategy around Facebook, and you wake up one morning and they've changed the rules, you're in strife, or Google, for example. And that happens. It happens all the time. So your website, your blog is the only online asset that you can absolutely control 100%. Publish it to your blog and then use something like Hootsuite, or my preference is Sprout Social. for $9 a month, share it around through social media and track it, see who's engaging with it, have a look at gender demographic breakdowns of who's engaging with your content, who's liking it, who's sharing it, and that's your content creation machine. Sprout Social. Sprout Social is like, it's kind of like, is it you guys use Hootsuite at all?
Hootsuite.
So Sprout Social is like a grown-up version of Hootsuite.
Yeah. It's the same sort of thing, controls your social media.
Social media, tweets and Facebook posts.
Worth.
So, really simple. Collect headlines, capture your content in a smartphone or a video, get it transcribed, publish it and share it.
Yep. All right, cool. We've gone a little bit over time, but do you guys still want to get someone up here to do a case study? Well, I've actually already pulled it out of the hat. It's actually Daniel McAllister. Would you like...
Sweet.
Dan, would you want to come up here? We're going to have a look at your website, and Troy's actually going to do some...
Have we got Wi-Fi here?
We do.
Great.
Place to start, mate. Lots to do.
Hey,
All right, Dan, this is Troy. Troy, this is Dan.
hey Dan, how are you? Nice to meet you.
There's our code.
So let me just hop out of here.
What's he using for his website?
Come and have a seat, Dan, in the hot...
Congratulations.
And what's the Wi-Fi?
There's one. Public access.
What's the Novator Wollongong? Daniel's very kindly volunteered to have a look at his online strategy, and we'll have a bit of a live kind of case study on what he can do to start improving. So tell me, what is it you're trying to achieve?
Just to have a website, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a website, so
Yeah,
job done. Unreal. Hey? How quick was that?
Yeah. It was just so
So-
relate back to so I'm a genuine landscaper that people believe that's what I do.
Yep.
So I just want to put a few photos, even though they're not the ones they're probably about 2 years old.
Yep.
It's just to sort of just to prove that I'm actually a landscaper, to give me some
Credibility.
credibility. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think people are going to want to do when they visit your website? First of all, how do you get leads? How do you get new clients? Is it word of mouth?
Yeah, word of mouth.
Okay.
All the time.
And why do you think someone's going to visit your website? If someone says, Daniel from Independent Landscapes can look after your landscaping, you make an assumption that they're going to go and look you up online?
Yeah, just
Yep.
for them to actually look my name up online, not
Yep.
as if for a recommendation, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what do you think they want to achieve when they land on your website?
Just
What-
my contact information. That's what I was sort of the only thing I was planning on at that stage.
Yep. So okay. So there's definitely some low-hanging fruit. Visually, I think there's a lot that can be done in terms of just making the website easier to read, easier to navigate, and I think it needs to explain to the visitor why they're here. Because at the moment, so in terms of contrast, image and text, a couple of tips. Text, it generally always works better if it's dark text on a lighter coloured background, and images generally work better if images or video are on a darker background. I'll give you an example. If you ever look at the Age website or any of the big newspapers, all of their articles are dark text on white paper. All of their video portals are videos on dark background. So images and video on dark backgrounds. Text, definitely dark text on a lighter background. And the kind of the blueprint, if you like, for a homepage should be, this kind of headline here: are you looking to make an investment to your property? Do you want value for money that best suits your needs? Well, at Independent Landscapes, we listen to you. So a couple of things here. This headline should really be right across here, really big and bold, so that as soon as I land on the website, I can see it, I read it, and I know whether or not I'm in the right place. And then I would just tweak that a little bit and change the language a little bit to make it more appealing to the person that's landed on the website. Because right at that point in time, you've got to ask yourself, what problem are they trying to solve, and why are they here, and what is going to keep them here, and more importantly, what do you then want them to do? So you're saying that you don't really know who your perfect client is, because at the moment you're kind of just general workshop open for business, yeah?
Yeah, but majority of the time people about 40 to 60 years old that I work for.
Yep.
Yeah, so full blocks, as in, residential blocks.
Yep.
Yeah.
So mainly residential stuff that you're doing? Okay. So I would be trying to talk about the lifestyle. So I've been working with a spa company, and one of their big problems is, we can't take photos of, the spa jet motors of our spas because they're not sexy. And I'm like, no, you're right, don't do that. Take photos of before the backyard, before you put the hot tub in, and then after. You're not selling spas, you're selling lifestyle. And I think that's what you're selling as well, is the result, the benefit of someone working with you is that they have this amazing living space where they can, entertain, show off, entertain the family, entertain the neighbours, be proud. It's a lifestyle thing that you're selling. So this headline here, I would be saying, I would be trying to build in the benefits of working with you, and what is the benefit of working with you? What benefits are they going to receive once you've been around and done their landscaping? Do you know the answer to that question?
No. Well, I'm a qualified landscaper, I'm insured, and a lot of people aren't, so...
You've got to pay for what you do better than your next bloke.
Exactly, yeah.
That's a feature. What's the
So
benefit?
you're trustworthy then?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
That we can
the
trust
benefit
you?
is the
Peace of mind is the benefit.
Peace of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like for me, it would be a given. If you're a landscaper and I hired you, for me, it would be a given that you're insured and that you're qualified. That for me, peace of mind would be the benefit. I think the benefit, and the investment in your property is, that's a hot button that people will respond to, but you've just got to frame that in a way that really speaks of the benefit. So, do you want to increase the value of your property? Now you're talking my language. Yes. Who doesn't want to increase the value of their property? Who wants their property to go down in value? No, sorry. Who wants their property to increase in value? Yes, right. So that might be an instant benefit. Are you looking to make an investment in your property? Would you like to increase the value in your property? Yes, just a very slight tweak, but all of a sudden it's more captivating. So get that benefit-driven headline right, and then what is it you want them to do on this page? What action do you want them to take? What do you want them to do? Do you want them to
probably fill out the contact
us form? So here's an idea. Instead of putting your contact form on the contact page, why don't you put your contact form on every page and just make it a name, email form, name, email, and get in touch. You don't even necessarily have to offer a free download.
Is there a WordPress plugin for that?
Yeah, there are WordPress plugins for just about anything.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But to actually get that in the bottom box as such in your footer, to put a contact stuff,
Yep. So, your contact page here, name, first name, last name, email, comment, I would be online quotation. So I would be putting this on the home page, and I wouldn't be calling it an online quotation. I'd be,
Ask us.
like find out how you can increase the value of your property. Find out how we can help you increase the value of your property. Name, email, button. Might be as simple as that.
Yeah.
Is that built on WordPress, by the way, do you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We should talk at some point, because I've got a whole bunch of stuff about WordPress that I can give you that's going to make this stuff really easy for you. Yeah? So if I was working with you right now, I'd be saying, okay, this homepage, all that we need on this homepage is your logo, which proves credibility, and a big headline that says, talk to us about increasing the value of your property. First name, email address, bang. And then every time someone fills that in, you get an email saying, hey, John's just filled in the thing on the homepage, and you email them and say, hey, John, I see you hit my website, blah, blah, blah. All of this other stuff can come later. If you're not ready, if this stuff isn't ready yet, then just turn it off and just have one page with maybe, your logo, maybe one image of a before and after that you've done, and that headline. Talk to us about increasing the value of your residential property. Name, email, button, and you're done.
It's a simple message you're saying is deliverable at this point in time. Don't put stuff up that's not ready to be delivered.
Yeah.
You can't deliver.
Yep.
Put up what you can deliver.
Yep.
Which might just be one image.
Yep. I'll just give you a quick example. I'm happy to share this with Stephen so you guys can all get it. But I'll just show you this. I'll just show you this graphic that is the anatomy of a perfect landing page. And I'll just, and again, we've kind of touched on this, but I'll just show you again. A nice looking headline, an image or a video, benefit, 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 call to action, and if you can, testimonials and social proof. Yeah? So that, I'll share this with Stephen. It's if you just Google landing page KISS metrics, KISS, as in keep it simple, stupid, metrics, KISS metrics landing page, you'll find that. That is the basis of a perfect landing page. So if you can't do anything else, just model it on that. And I'll show what it looks like in real life. Okay, so just read that headline. Yeah, so in this particular business, which I actually don't put a lot of effort in, to be honest, because I'm getting distracted with the software business is what I'm trying to build. I'm getting about 50 email addresses a day in the software business. I'm getting about 15 a day off this page here. That's 15 cold calls I don't need to make every day. Yeah?
How good's that, guys?
Just happens.
Cool.
Can you scroll it down? So you've got testimonials and what's happening at the bottom?
Oh, they're just client logos that of clients that I've worked with and a bit of testimonials. It's just social proof. And then every page of my website has this in the footer. So every page that you visit on the website, you know, there's, and I test how many emails I get from the footer and how many emails I get from this form here. And I test headlines and, you know, all sorts of crazy stuff. But the point is that it's actively generating leads into my business.
So what we want to do is get Jing, pull that up, and just talk through what we want to change, and then send it off to our VA. Spoke about Jing yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think you've got all the tools, guys, to do it. It's up to you now whether you do it or not. That's the biggest thing.
And by the way, this theme, I didn't pay a designer for this theme. This theme, I think, cost me $70 from Woo Themes. It's a WordPress theme. So you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on design to make something like this. You can if you want, but you don't need to. Cool.
We talk about videos. So we talk about working with Paul, or we talk about just doing a video of yourselves. But really, if you want to hit it on your homepage, video's important. But I mean, to get a professional video's done as important as well, especially if you're trying to position yourself as an expert. So having video, I mean, video, obviously copy, so text only, then you'd go photo, and then would you go video, or video and photo, pretty much the same as far as where you want to be?
My personal preference would be video all the time. If you can, video all the time.
Yeah.
And the video is really simple. Hey, if you're X and you want to do Y so that benefits Z, I've got this free thing that's going to help you do it really quickly. Just tell me where to send the free video, or tell me where to send the free ebook. Put your name and email address in next to the video in the box and tell me where to send it. Cool. You know, if you want to increase the value of your property, you know, learn the top 3 things you need to know about getting a good landscaper to help you increase the value of your property. Just tell me where to send the free report. Video works because it's engaging, people watch it, it keeps them on the site longer, and also you can build a relationship face to face.
What about a round of applause for Dan?
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Dan. No worries.
One thing I wanted to talk about video as well, because we've spoken about video marketing a fair bit. Everything's got to be congruent. So I've got a friend of mine who sells a product, and it's a high-end product, and he has got video on his homepage, which is awesome. The video is done in an amateur way. Someone's standing there holding it. So the frame's moving all around like this. And this is someone who's positioned themselves very high within their industry. It's shifting around like that. And you sort of go, well, that doesn't... I think if you want to play at a high level, you've got to play at a high level. Having an amateur video and you're trying to position yourself as an expert renovator, I think you need to do it professionally. Whether it is working with someone like Paul and spending a few $100, $500, $1,000 to get a set of videos done that then you can use and embed on your website. you are then positioned as the professional in what you do. You only need to do it once, and it's a video that can possibly last for 2 years. Yeah.
I think that's we had a guy in our network who had a video, and he's competing with big companies like O'Brien Glass, and he had the Mickey Mouse one, and you know he got a proper one done. I think it was about $4,000. Had the proper voiceovers, proper scripting, and everything, and it just looks fabulous now. You know,
Yeah.
and that's people are going to check out your competition.
Mm.
So if you've got the Mickey Mouse one, they'll see that.
Yeah, and we sort of talk about people clicking through and staying on a website longer. You want to just improve some of these things. If you want to improve your bounce rate and have not so many people jumping off that one page, as soon as they visit, they go, "Oh, that's crap, I'm out." If they visit, they go, "Oh, that's just quality. These guys know what they're doing." You're positioning yourself, like Ralph was talking about yesterday, as the expert. You've got to back that up with some really cool content. You've got to be able to show that you are a good landscaper. But just that one page for me has got to be schmick.
Sure. So just on that, I would say definitely your homepage video, you know, invest and get that right. In terms of blogging, I'm also a fan of making videos that are kind of more lo-fi, out on the street, you know, pulling up out the front of a client, put the little iPhone, a little suction cap on the windscreen so it's nice and stable, and just record a little video and put that stuff up on your blog, not necessarily your homepage, because that gets that personal connection going. So they see the beautiful schmick production on the homepage, but then when they're reading your blog, they can actually see you in your business, working in your business, doing your do, and that's the kind of thing that will help build that relationship.
So important. Google loves videos. So, mate, questions? Anybody for Troy? He's one of Australia's best. So if you want to bend his ear now. Paulie?
I run a WordPress platform for my website, and I end up actually just closing part of it down because I was getting a crap load of spam, like 1,000 spam in like a week.
Yep.
How can you stop that?
Akismet.
Who?
Akismet. Akismet. If you've got a website that gets good traffic and starts to rank well with Google, you will get a lot of spam comments on your website if you use WordPress. There's a plugin that comes with WordPress. When you install WordPress, it comes built in with a plugin called Akismet, Akismet, and for, I don't know, I think it's $9 as a one-off payment forever. You get a little license key that you put into Akismet, and it just kills 95% of your spam.
Sweet.
Yeah, Paul.
Google loves video, and I have been known to mention that before. But I know, what about when the spider comes to trawl your site and it's looking for all your keywords and all that sort of stuff? If all you've got is a one sentence up the top there, a picture and a button, how's it going to really trawl your site properly to fully index it?
Sure. So it's a great question. A landing page, so there are two different beasts. A landing page for me is a page that is designed to get people to take an action, which is sign up for my database or buy a product. That's not a search engine page. That's a landing page that's designed to get people to take action. And that's kind of built on that model that I showed you before. A search engine page is a completely different thing. A search engine page is designed to get traffic from search engines, and it should be predominantly text. Yes, you can use video and images, but it needs to have at least 300 to 500 words, and it's got to have your keywords in the right spot to rank well on Google. So the idea is that you get traffic from search engines through those search engine pages, and then while they're on that search engine page, in the right-hand sidebar or down the bottom, it'll say, hey, if you want to learn more about this, check out this webinar we've got. And they click on that, then they go through to the landing page where it's got your video that says, we're running this free webinar about blah, 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 where you're going to learn X, Y, Z, sign up here.
Okay. Yeah. So, sorry, so your web page is actually not your landing page. Is that what you're saying? Or?
So a landing page is just a web page in your website that is designed to get someone to take the action that you want them to take. Whereas your search engine pages can be blog posts or just other article pages or information pages in your website, but it all lives in the one website.
But they don't have to be visible pages, do they? Okay, you can have articles that aren't even visible to the public that Google spiders will still crawl and break you off. So some articles don't make much sense. Am I right in this, Arnold?
Correct.
You know, so some actually don't make much sense. They just help you. They've got the keywords like I was speaking to you about before that you can research on Google AdWords and the keyword thing in there.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you, so here's the skinny, right? I use a company in India to do all my SEO, and they cost me I think $250 a month, and I get like 10 or 15 keywords, and I'm on page 1 of Google for those 10 or 15 keywords, and that's just a constant trickle of traffic into my, you know, you guys, if you guys want to learn how to do this yourself, go to this website, seomoz.com, not associated at all, just love them. They know everything about SEO, but you know what I would do? I would just outsource it. I'd just punt it to someone who knows what they're doing, who's got the system set up to do it.
Is that who you're using?
Who?
SEO Moz or?
No, I use a team in India who use a whole bunch of software to do it. I mean, I know how to do SEO myself, but I haven't got the time or the inclination. I don't care about the details. I just want the outcome. You know.
Yeah. So how this is relevant too to franchise groups as well, because this is something I spoke to Troy about. Sometimes franchise groups, their website's controlled by head office. And that's why I chucked everybody's sort of hat in the ring as far as getting an opportunity to come and sit up here and get it done. Troy mentioned even just having something separate to a page that is controlled by head office. If you've got no flexibility within your company to do what you want, you can do your own blog post or something else that then leads back into that page. But you don't have to just say, well, that's the page that's run by head office. We've got no room to move. Don't do that, because you don't have any control of doing anything over and above what they're doing.
So there's a lot of real estate agents at the moment who are really frustrated by the fact that they can't get their hands on the company website, and they can't blog, and they can't post videos, and they can't, you know. So they're setting up their own websites or their own blogs, and they're putting their own content, and they're collecting their own database, their own email addresses of their own tribe that they own, and they're increasing their own personal value tenfold, and they've got full control over that online asset. So the reason I was saying that to Stephen before is, if you're in an organisation where you haven't got access to the website and you can't affect any change, then think outside the box. Go to blogger.com or wordpress.com, or, you know, register your own name as your own domain name, set up your own website and start doing it yourself. Position yourself, bit of personal branding.
Yeah. All right, guys. Any more questions for Troy before he goes? Has it been a good session? Yeah, pretty amazing. We're starting to get a little bit more advanced. Yeah, Mike?
Just one little question. That address you got up there,
Yeah.
that's a really strange looking address.
Yeah.
I actually just put it in and it comes up as a LinkedIn page.
Yep. So that's my business card. That's my Twitter handle at the top right if you want to follow me on Twitter. And that's my LinkedIn profile, bit.ly/Troy Dean. It's just a short link. Don't worry about the details. Don't get bogged down in the technical details, I promise you. If you want to get bogged down in the technical details, you can spend the rest of your life getting bogged down in the technical details. The technology doesn't matter.
How does the phone work?
The technology doesn't matter.
It just works.
Just ask your nephew, he'll figure it out. Bit.ly/Troy Dean is my LinkedIn address. So that's the best way to connect with me, if you want to connect with me. And also I did say to Stephen that, you know, I do a bit of coaching and consulting. I'm not really looking for clients, but if you guys want to do anything with me, then I'm happy to offer you guys 50% off my services for Stephen's crew. So just come see me if you want to.
Which is really generous. Really generous. So thank you very much,
All
Troy.
right. Thank you,
guys.
guys.
If you'd
Thanks
like
for
to
having
give your hands to Troy.